Hello everyone. We will be talking about a new topic, that is the tick. Mite we have already seen, as these are all ectoparasites and feed on blood or present on the skin of human beings. So if you look at the systematic position of tick, that is the uh, belongs to the phylum Arthropoda. Now we already know Arthropoda. Characteristic of Arthropoda: body is divided into head, thorax, and abdomen, and especially in Arthropoda, but it belongs to the class Arachnida. Okay, four legs are there in this Arachnida. Order Acarina. Now here, family. Generally, we will talk about this family in this particular lecture, but we will also see some other examples belonging to this genus or species. So, if we talk about the habits and habitat, all ticks are sanguivorous and have mouth parts suitable for piercing, tearing the host skin, and sucking the blood from the puncture wound. So, what they do, they will puncture the skin, blood will ooze out, and that blood they will drink. Um, there are two types. Actually, we'll see the types also. Two types of these ticks. One is the hard body, and one is the soft body. So soft body ticks tend to remain in the vicinity of their host resting places. Okay, where the host rest, and they when host is not moving and it is in resting position sleeping, at that time they will attack. So they have feeding habit like those of bed bug. Okay, there's usually bite their host at frequent intervals during the night time only, not at the daytime. They can work at the daytime, but only thing is they don't do it in the night time when actually host is in the resting position. Now each meal, how they get the meal, they what they do exactly, they will be present in the resting position of the host skin, and then they will pierce through the skin, drink the blood for some time, go away after 2 hours, uh, maybe for few minutes to 2 hours. They may leave the host, or they may come back and do the same thing. Okay, so each meal may become, or maybe they can get the meal in few minutes to 2 hours. And when they are away from the host, the soft ticks usually hide in variety of suitable cracks, for example, so where they live actually. So if they are not living on the skin of the host, then they must live somewhere else. So what kind of areas they generally prefer? For example, uh, crevices of chicken coops, bark of trees, or any cracks within the wall, or maybe cracks within the bed also. Okay, they may feed on the blood of birds resting at the night. Okay, large or soft ticks common in Maharashtra and other parts of peninsular India. They are generally found in soil, sand, stable, camps, and shade of trees where farm animals or man may rest. So any area where resting place is there, or for humans or any cattle, you may find these. Now, especially belonging to zooid male, take small blood meal, but the females feed voraciously, remaining attached to the host for 4 to 8 days. As you can see, the difference. Some species of female become enormously large after feeding. So, as you can see in the diagram, how much after feeding they become. So, the initial size and the later was the largest size that you can get. Now, in some species of female, this happens, not in all. Okay, so there are two categories of feeders among the same Zodidae: continuous and interrupted. Okay, the catalytic example be Microplus, larvae attached to its host and remain continuously thereon, whereas the animals also molt on the same host until adulthood. Force over. Mature ticks copulate while on the host body, and the impregnate female leaves the host fully engorged condition. Then oviposition occurs among grasses or weeds, lentily. For example, B. microplus is the regarded as one host tick. But there are some ticks now dependent on the species. The hard-bodied exotic may remain on the host for a prolonged period or in the area visited by the host. For another species like Ricinus, a high degree of humidity uh, and thick areas or where they can hide found to be very favorable. The common dog ticks are there, are sanguineous when away from its host, hides in the grass frequently, frequented by the dogs or climb the walls of canals of the human dwelling in a dog's lives actually, and hide in the cracks and crevices of the vegetation. So either some of the ticks, as you know, may, may be present in one species on one species, and later they may leave this species for or and when they are leaving the species at that time they hide within the grass or other areas. They can be more than one host basically, but most of the ticks have only one host. So interrupted or intermittent feeders may either have two hosts. So again, I repeat, there are two types: continuous and interrupted. And in the continuous, you have one host, and there is a interrupted or intermittent feeders that have two hosts or three hosts or more than that. In the first case, exemplified by R. bursa, the attached larvae feeds and molt to the infant state on one host. Sometimes the engorged nymph drop off and molts into the adult, which then seeks out new host for attachment. Three host ticks examples has been given, attached to three different hosts, larval, nymphal, and adult stage. Okay, respectively. So it drops off after meal or molting. Okay, on the soil. Now, what is the morphology of these insects? These creatures. So the fundamental somatic organization of soft ergacid. As I have told you, there are soft and hard, two types of ticks. So soft ergacid and hard zooted ticks. It's quite similar. So either it is a soft or hard. If we talk about morphology, there are a lot of things in common. There will be some variation only, but a lot of things will be common. So the body is covered by highly resistant cuticular integument for um, on these ticks. Adult ticks are sexually dimorphic and generally range from 3 to 10 mm or more in length. Now this external envelope of cuticle, okay, consists of thin superficial layer of creative serotegument followed by thicker epicuticle, below which a very thick procuticle is there. So there are three layers: serotegument, okay, followed by thick epicuticle, and below that procuticle. Superficial, then in between you have epicuticle, and below that you have thick procuticle. Large number of pores canals passes through the procuticle. Now these arise from the cellular epidermis which underlies the cuticle. Now ticks are segmented animals. Segments are there and divisible into two regions. The body is divisible into two regions. What are these regions? Capitulum and body proper. Okay. Now capitulum also referred as the gnathosoma. Now capitulum is not the true head. It is completely referred as such. The projects uh, introventrally and bears the mouth parts and a basal continuous segment known as capitulum. Okay, so it is not a true head. Actually, it's not a full head structure, but it is made up of some kind of mouth parts or the parts which are required for the piercing and sucking. Okay, not exactly piercing, we can say rupturing of the skin, cut the skin, and then they can suck. Okay, the ring like basis capitulum connects the capitulum to the body proper. We'll see the structure of this mouth part. So the junction of capitulum with the idiosoma is marked groove like dispersion called as camerostome. Okay, now if you talk about the camerostome, just look at these mouth parts, three types of structures. Ventral is tooth elongated hypostoma, free and projects anteriorly. Dorsal surface of hypostoma is located on the pair of chalic free. Just look at this diagram. Okay, what are the where are these positions? So as you can see, hypostome is here, and along with the free, hypostome, preterminal of which, what is this? Chelicera, okay, which is a forked one, chile, giving rise to dorsal fixed tooth digitus. Okay, then you have a pair of palpi. This is the palp which covers arises from the antroventral margins of basis capitula. Basis capitula is here. You have palp, okay, you have hypostome, and on this hypostome you have this chelicera. Okay, this structure acts as a counter ankle wise when tick is attached to the host. So they are also very useful in attachment to the host skin. Then you have the mouth part, shows characteristic difference among different species. So it may differ. So what are the functions of chelicera? Functions as a piercing or tearing part and anchoring structure by means of which the host integument is opened and entire capitulum or at least the tooth hypostome is inserted into the host. The mouth parts, there are some pair of mandibles also, postome, pair of lateral palps. Each chelicera is directed dorsolaterally. Sheath is there. Okay, the chelicera serve to anchor the parasite to the host body, and more important function of piercing and main important function is piercing. Okay, so there are some other parts also. Now if you look at the body proper, this is about the head now, or mouth part. Now if you look at the body proper, shows differences among members of different families, but bears what are the common things? It four pair of legs subdivided into six segment known as coxa, trochanter, femur, genu, tibia, and tortoise. So in some species, some of these units are fused, in some it is distinct. So the genital orifice is located on the mid-ventral line between the first and second pair of legs. Anus is also ventrally located, equidistant from level of fourth pair of legs and posterior margin of the body. So the body proper, that is idosoma, is more or less oval in shape. This is important. Okay, it distinguished into the post capitulum podosome. It beats the legs and opistoma in exodid. The body is usually leathery. So generally in ticks it is leathery, sparsely clothed with a short hair like CT. Dorsally it also provided with a tough sclerotized part, plate like sanctum. Okay, in males, the scrotum covers the almost entire dorsal area, but in the much larger female, it is restricted to a very small anteromedian area immediately behind the capituli. So, remaining dorsal surface of the female and immature stages feather stages leathery It is immature stage and leathery, expansible, and is termed the alloscutum. So these are some of the things about the body, but still we can go further and see difference between the hard and soft tick. This table is very important. They may ask you question on the hard and soft tick. So as you can see, the capitulum is there, terminal end can be seen in dorsal view. Papillae is there. Okay, so hard tick example and soft tick example has been given. So what are these differences? If we talk about this body scutum, the it covers the entire back in the males, but only small portion is present in the females, which is generally absent in soft ticks. So this is about the soft ticks. This scutum is not there. Uh, Legs, coxa is there, usually armed with spurs, generally armed with one or two ventral spurs, unarmed without ventral spurs are there. Okay, so life cycle only one nymphal instar, two or eight nymphal instar is there in soft tick. So these are some of the differences between the hard and soft ticks. Only thing is that you should know how to remember this. Think about the characteristics. So capitulum, papillae, body, scutum or festoons are present or not, eyes are present or not, legs, what kind of legs, coccyx, tarsi is there or not, what is the life cycle, and what is the sexual dimorphism uh, of this part. So other than this, uh, if you look at this is about the morphology. So anterior dorsal lateral borders of scutum bears a pair of simple and in simple eyes. Okay, now in this hard coated ticks, generally eyes are absent. The posterior margin of the body has a chain, small rectangular chitinous plates or scuts, which together are referred to as uh, the festoon. Now, organs, there are some chemoreceptor organs, okay, made up of which behind the coal bases of the third, fourth pair of legs, okay, present respiratory apertures, the spiracles are there. Then the ventral surface shows the medial genital aperture located either close capitulum or little behind, but in podosomes. The anus lies in the midline, but in the opisthosoma, about all between fourth pair of cocks and posterior margin of the body, depending on the species. So, paired legs form the ventral side of the podosome. Now, these walking ambulatory appendages are prominent in unfed tick, but in engorged animal, engorgements, full animal, it has taken food. They appear inconspicuous because of the greatly swollen body. Now, adult ticks and nymphs always have four pair of legs. Either you take tick or adult one or nymph. Four legs are there. The larva, however, has three pairs. All the legs are identical and each consists of seven podomers: coxa, trochanter, femur, genus, tibia, tarsus, which all parts of the legs, and then the tarsal of the first leg contain the pit-like hallux. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics, morphological characteristics, systematic position of tick. Uh, a few more things about this tick is there is one importance of this tick population, that it is also immensely significant from the parasitological point of view, because many microorganisms or veterinary and medical importance are passed. Many organisms are passed transferred to the next generation by the females, which receive the pathogens with the blood meal. Since many tick species lay very large number of eggs. This mode of transmission can become very efficient way of multiplying. Okay, and or you can say the spreading of the pathogens. So reproduction in ticks is therefore of the considerable economical value in relation to the tick transmitted diseases. So this was about the general morphology and characteristic of this particular part tick. Now we will stop here and continue with the life cycle and control measures in the next lecture. Thank you.